Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the next edition of Industry Leader Live. I'm delighted to welcome Marcia Gomez, who's the Managing Director of Cotels, who have apartments located across Milton Keynes and Northampton. Marcia joined the team in 1998 in an entry-level position managing the day-to-day activities of the business, including working on reception and doing the bookkeeping. Marcia learnt the ins and outs of the business, and as time went on, she worked her way up within the company, promoted to director in 2001, and eventually completing the momentous task of purchasing Cotels in 2009. Marcia, good afternoon to you.
Hi James, how are you?
I'm well, thank you very much. And thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate your time and support. So we're going to dive straight in, Marcia. Tell us a little bit about Cotels, if you would, and what the key challenges have been for you, and what you think, most importantly, the future will look like for the sector, specifically in Milton Keynes.
Okay, so Cotels was the very first service apartment provider in Milton Keynes all those years ago. We, as a brand, sort of focus on providing quality apartments and putting the customer at the heart of everything that we do. Our strapline is don't just stay, live. So that's what we aim for all of our guests, is that they do actually come and live with us and see the apartment as their home. Key challenges, well, there's been a few over the years, as you can imagine. I would say the main thing for us is our model is mainly based on renting properties from individual landlords. So that presents its challenges. Rents here have risen exponentially over the years. So unfortunately, the pricing in line with that hasn't stayed in line. So that's certainly a challenge. And of course, you're never really in control always of your portfolio. It can get sold, or if they want contract changes and things. I think also there's quite a lot of providers here now, certainly with the growth of Airbnb and Booking.com, encouraging people to place their sort of single properties out there. So that's definitely a key challenge for us as well, because that also then is more difficult on budget and things. COVID obviously has presented a lot of new challenges, but we just faced it head on, made some decisions early on. We've all been at home now since the 20th of March. I've actually ventured out into the office this afternoon for this, which has been quite nice. But I think, going forward, I think Milton Keynes, the future is still bright here. It's a fantastic city. It's quite different to other places around the country. I think you either love it or hate it. But there's a lot of big businesses placed here. There's great location travel links. London is 36 minutes on train. So I think in a way we're really well placed for going forward, probably in comparison to other areas. So I'm still feeling pretty optimistic, actually.
Well, I think that's really exciting, isn't it? We've talked to a lot of people over the last few weeks about it and the importance of remaining focused and positive about the opportunities. And I think, we do love Milton Keynes. I don't know anyone that doesn't. So just to clarify that. But I mean, you said it yourself, there's a lot of competition about Airbnb has encouraged a lot of single operators into the market. And certainly within Milton Keynes, you will have seen quite a significant amount of competition. How do you think that's going to change then over the next few weeks and months? And certainly as we start to get into a position where we're recovering from this dreadful pandemic?
I mean, as you've said, there is a lot of competition here. I would say that there's probably 4 or 5 of us what I consider like the main providers here, a couple of which are also ASAP members, and we all know each other. I've spoken to a few of them over the pandemic, and we've sort of chatted to each other. We've all got the same aches and pains, and it's quite nice that you can actually use each other to support and share things. And but perhaps going forward, I know we've all had to reduce our stock at the beginning of the pandemic, so there's probably not going to be quite as much available initially. But equally, that might drive rents down, perhaps, because there's more available. So that might be a positive out of it. And perhaps some of the smaller providers have, over the pandemic and lockdown, had to put long-term tenants in. Perhaps they'll perhaps not be so many of those going forward. So yeah, I think that's probably what we'll see for the beginning. Yeah.
Mm. And do you, I mean, we've seen a lot of changes in terms of the client base from our members' feedback and different opportunities during this period whereby the clients are changing. Certainly the supply of the clients are changing. And we responded as an association by implementing the Key Worker and Emergency Accommodation Initiative, which we're very generously supportive of. What have you learned from that process, and what have you seen from the type of customers that you've been servicing over the last few months?
Yeah, I mean, initially when sort of lockdown first happened, I think it was almost a bit of a shock. Actually, it's like you couldn't quite believe this was really happening. And at first, I think I thought, right, that's it. Everybody's going home, everything's cancelled. It's a disaster. But then it started to pick up, and the key workers requiring accommodation, we obviously found, and we wanted to support the ASAP initiative when we heard about it. We have vacant apartments. Of course, you want to try and do anything that you can to help. We've had some ambulance staff staying with us, nurses, but also guests of ours that were already here and they haven't been able to get flights home. So we've tried to help and support them as well as best as we can from a bit of a distance. So I think I've learned that we can adapt. There are things that you can do. It's surprising what you come up with when you sort of have to. I think there's some comfort in knowing that you can be helping people. I think that's been nice. And Situ, of course, have supported it a lot, and we've got a great relationship with them. So we've worked with them on providing accommodation through the scheme. And yeah, it's just been really positive, really, just to feel that you are doing something to help. And of course, service departments have just lent themselves so perfectly for what's been a really challenging time. So, the advantages over a hotel have never been so under the spotlight, have they, really? So, yeah, all in all, it's just been a great experience to be part of it.
Some say this is the time for service departments. We've been saying it,
Definitely.
as you know, for many years.
Yeah,
but perhaps this is the time. So,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, business travel is utopia for all service department operators, and we're working really hard to understand the demands of the corporate traveller, and when specifically they think that they're going to restart travelling. And what are your thoughts about that within Milton Keynes? And do you think that there will be growing importance, I suppose, for the need of recognition, most importantly here, of safety and duty of care? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. I think for us, we've got a lot of repeat customers, and I think as soon as they're given the nod from the powers that be, they'll be back. They've already got trust in us and trust in our brand. But I think certainly for booking agents and companies booking on behalf of people, then they are going to be extra aware of who they're booking, and there is going to be that emphasis on what are your processes around the cleaning and hygiene standards, which of course, as part of the ASAP accreditation, you guys, I know, updated that in May. We've adopted those policies within Cotels, and continue to be led by that. The support of the ASAP through all of this has been great, with your daily updates and all the advice and everything that we've seen on the websites and sharing of information. I know I've been following it and using it as a guide. So I think the accreditation is going to be really, really important, and particularly that section on safety and cleanliness. I think it's going to be really key going forward, and it will also help get that message across that we've all been trying to do for so long, is that you hopefully will go and choose an ASAP accredited member against anybody that isn't. So keep flying the flag, getting the message out there.
Oh, well done. And to doing that together is our aspirations here, of course, through these sorts of initiatives and having conversations and webinars and working with other trade associations. It's of paramount importance. So thank you very much for your support with that.
That's all right.
It's now time for your crystal ball predictions.
Oh, crikey. Have I got any?
Well, we're continually being asked, aren't we? What do we think the future looks like? So I'm going to do the same with you. You've seen over the years that you've been involved in the industry and the experience you've had. How do you think the next 5 years are going to pan out?
Oh, that is a tough one. I think initially the feeling I've got is that once people sort of do begin travelling again, I've got a feeling we're all going to be really busy to begin with. yeah, I think going forward, it's going to be, yeah, obviously technology is one I've seen change massively over the years. Think back to some of the early apartments that we had where we put in fax machines and computers. You know, you would never do it now. Yeah, I think that's going to continue. Obviously, the safety element is going to be absolutely paramount. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's how long is it going to take to come back to pre-COVID, and is it ever going to? I think it's going to be a bit of a new norm, isn't it? It's things will be different, I think, going forward. But business travel wise, I think it just hopefully people will still need to travel. I guess a lot of people have had to make changes and work from home. So does that mean that so many people will not travel maybe because they found other ways around it? Yeah, I don't know. If only we had the crystal ball.
I know, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, and I've been talking to a number of people about the functions that we're using here, Zoom or whatever else it might be.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely brilliant to be able to have these conversations. But do you really benefit as you would in a face-to-face meeting? I think, you know, over time, the novelty of traveling will come back. But you know, those are my views.
Yeah, we will see.
So, Marcia, thank you so much for being
That's
with us.
right.
Really
Lovely
appreciate
to chat
your
to you,
time.
James.
And thanks again for making the time to talk to us.
That's all right. See you soon.